15 of those are drug-related cases. So that's for the month of August. Cases older than 1 year, I was asked to provide that. I came into CID 2019, I believe, is when I became a detective. And there were years prior to that we were behind. Cases older than 1 year, we have 360 cases that are over a year old. And 70% of those cases, or almost 70%, approximately 70 cases were dead filed due to no evidence or no suspect. 139 of those cases, the remaining cases were drug-related, and total submitted to the DA's office has been 140 since I've been the lieutenant. So what we normally do is, for the drug cases, because those are the easiest to prepare, for the DA's office, we utilize our newer detectives to kind of get into the process of prepping the cases for the DA's office. The more severe cases like sexual assaults or aggravated assaults, myself or the sergeant or one of my other seasoned detectives will handle that particular case. The cases are assigned and investigated based on priority level, and that's set by me. I base that just on multiple variables, just as like the severity of the offense, the age of the victim, likely retaliation by the victim or family members, because a lot of them, well, not a lot of them, but some of them are gang related. And then the offender themselves, whether they're a nuisance or violent within the community, and then the immediate threat to the public. So as these cases are coming in, I kind of base the severity on it as something that we're going to focus on right now, or we table it for a little bit so we can handle some of the other more severe cases that are coming in. So that's how we handle those. That's what I was able to get as far as for the year, the cases over the year.
And of that number, previously, Chief, like the 440 number, was that all felonies, or are the
Those are all felonies, yes. Those are all felonies, but based off of what we were able to dead file and then send to the labs and get labs back, that number dropped to 360. So the last time we had that conversation, and from that 360, 70 of those were dropped because of no evidence or anything like that. So it was just a matter of going through them and, documenting which cases had no evidence or were pending labs from the drugs.
Well, Counsel, that's just some information I think is really important for us to know, and thank you again for your hard work and getting a handle on those, and ties in around with what you're saying. What we all want to see is these guys, off the street, and so the quicker we can get these cases.
One comment I did want to make, because I know the drug cases seem to be an issue, for the community, for y'all. I will tell you that per state law, a person can only stay in jail for 90 days before they're indicted. So when we arrest on the drug charge, if they don't make bond, after 90 days, if the DA's office hasn't received our report and they haven't been indicted, they're released on a PR, meaning they're released to the public with no bond, basically. With that being said, when it takes that amount of time on the very low end to get results back, the majority of them are being released simply because the labs are taking that long to get the results back to us. So that's no fault to the DA's office, that's no fault to us. It's just the lab having, being backed up on testing those drugs. So.
That's good to know. At least you can let people know, things
What-
like this, because, a lot of them, they don't know. They don't.
It is, and, it's one of those questions are answered as they come up to us or to y'all, but just so y'all know, if y'all are questioned about that, when it comes to them just being released, not on a PR bond or not on a bond, it's simply because their 90 days have already expired and the DA's office haven't gotten those, the case, but they haven't gotten those cases because we're waiting on labs.
What percentage of that do you think are repeat offenders? In drug-related?
Since I've been with the police department I've been with the police department since 2019, I'd say 85 to 90% of them are repeat offenders. It's very rare that I see a name that I haven't seen before that I don't recognize.
Thank you, sir.
Lieutenant, thank you very much. All right, with that, Public Works Sector. For the record, it is 6:30 and Councilwoman Agarza arrived. Good evening.
council, maybe if you can. Listen, before I get into the weeds here, I do wanna mention again that my report here, these are all call-ins and walk-ins. This is not routine maintenance. These are all just stuff that we get in on a daily basis. And as you can see, there's not much change. It looks like as the weather changes, the numbers are going down a little bit. So it looks like, I expect the gas work orders to increase, but it looks like they're decreasing, so hopefully that's a good thing. Aside from that, I mean, it's very user-friendly. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. If you need any updates or anything like that.
The only question I have, Hector, is, what, do y'all like the water hydrates? Do y'all do them every quarterly, or when do y'all?
It's every 6 months.
Every 6 months?
I'm glad you asked that, because we have one scheduled for the end of this month, and, just in a week, so it'll be in the paper. Normally we do right before October, or right after October, depending on the current, if it makes it paper, we'll definitely do it before October. If not, we'll do it right after, the week after October. And then it's twice a year, and we wanted to increase that, but we tried it, I believe 3 months ago. We tried doing it, but it was creating some issues with some of the customers, so we decided to hold back off on it. TCQ only requires once a year, so we try to do it, go above and beyond and go at least twice a year. So that's basically where we stand right now, but it is coming. There's a citywide hydro flushing set for this, and it's gonna be done at night, so it usually starts at 10 and goes on till 1 o'clock in the morning. So expect some, there'll be some issues at first, but it's all in the name of the game. It's just, we're trying to flush out the system basically, because it's some highly mineralized water that we're extracting from the ground, so it's gonna come with extra minerals. So that's basically what we're trying to flush out some of the excess minerals in the water system that get trapped in the pipes and everything.
That, just to show, these are the work orders, basically. It does reflect that we meet that challenge pretty handily. There's not very many that stay pending, so I want to.
There's only a couple, out of the water leaks, if we concentrate on the water leaks, we only had 2 that were major. The rest of these were all considered minor. So only a couple of times we had to issue out a report saying, hey, you might experience some low water pressure in certain parts of town. So it wasn't that bad this year. And then as the weather changes, they start dwindling down a little bit before they start going back up, of course, later on in the year. That's basically where we stand.
Council, you have any questions for Hector? All right, Hector, thank you very much. Next up, Alex, financial report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm going to be reading, this is from the Finance Director, Christine Green. She wasn't able to make it, so I'm just going to go over her financial report. As of July 31st, 2024, the city has completed 83% of the fiscal year. The unaudited revenues and the expenditures summarized for the general and utility funds have been provided for your review. The general fund expenditures exceed revenues by approximately $113,000. The ad valorem revenue year-to-date was about 85% of the budget. The sales tax revenue year-to-date is about 87% of the budget. The utility fund revenues exceeded expenditures in the amount of $332,235. The water revenue year-to-date was about $1.7 million, which is 78% of the budget. The sewer year-to-date revenue was $732,469, which is 89% of the budget. Expenditures in both funds in line with the period. General fund overall expenditures were 78% of the budget, and the utilities fund overall expenditures were about 60% of the budget. The city staff has done a great job remaining within the fiscal year 2024 budget approved by the city council. The city's pooled cash account balance as of July 2024 was $6.3 million. the finance department is creating an investment report to include in the future financial report packets. So,
Good job. Thank you.
any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, Alex, thank you very much. Financial report. Next, we're going on to, community development. Yolanda.
Good evening, Mayor, good evening, council members. I'll start with the building inspections report. We did see a decrease in the, number of revenue in the, permits that were issued. So August was a slow month. I think we can attribute that perhaps to, contractors and families being busy with back to school. Just a general breakdown, the commercial miscellaneous permits that were issued were about 10 of those. And we conducted at least 24 inspections. Residential permits were 11 on residential, 9 on miscellaneous permits, and we had commercial application fees that came in, about 10 of those. So a total of building permits in revenue was $65.98. Is there any questions on this report? We have discussed with staff that we need to look at code enforcement on the building side to make sure that we catch any contractors or residents that are building without permits. We are getting complaints that have come in, and those have been either assigned to myself or to our part-time code enforcement officer and to Mr. Cano Esquivel. They work together to help each other as teamwork to make sure we're addressing those violators. Next, I want to address the code enforcement case report. And Mr. Cano, if you want to come up here. He's going to give a presentation in a little while on something else, but the case report, you have the graph here. We have a total of 29 cases for August, and the breakdown of those are, we had 15 cases that were resolved of those 29. We had a total of 4 that are currently open, and we have 10 that are pending further action. And we do have the graph to show how we're moving along throughout the year on that. Mr. Esquivel,
Yolanda, this is code enforcement. Right?
yes, this is the code enforcement. The majority of these are gonna be your, what we call chapter 32, the nuisance law, which is your junk vehicles, your substandard housing, your weedy lots. We do have a report on where we're at, Mr. Cano, with the weedy lots, the project clean cut.
Clean cut, we did 2 this month. We did one on Bryan Street and one on Medina Street. Now, we're all working on 2 more. The last one that we're gonna do for this month is gonna take a little bit of getting together, regrouping, and discussing that issue, because it's a bigger cleanup than just the weedy lots. So I'm gonna get together with Ms. Moran, Mr. Reyes, Hector, to discuss that issue in regards to that certain property that is located off of San Marcos.
If you recall the pictures that we showed you when we first introduced Operation Clean Cut, that's one of the biggest one. The issues we have there, it has been used as a drug activity home. There was so much, waste, rubbish, and I mean, like, it's what, piled high, and there's a lot of needles and things that, we need to address a little more carefully before we go in there and actually start cleaning it up. So that's the meeting that Mr. Esquivel is talking about.
Where the trash came from, the house is where the trash came from. When the homeless moved in, further investigation proved that they pulled all the trash out and put it in the backyard. That's where all the trash came from. But it was at one time inside the house. Now the house is partially standing, caught on fire on San Marcos Street. So, now we gotta deal with that structure and that trash with syringes.
Was it the one on this side?
No,
Oh, it's
one
on
over
that
here.
side, okay.
Yes, on the west side.
That's probably gonna be our last one, and just to let, council know, we are on staff. If you recall, we presented a timeline of how we were gonna be doing these, Operation Clean Cut projects. We are on line to finish in September, which was the timeline that we gave you all. And then we'll start looking at how we're going to address the substandard buildings next. Any questions for Mr. Esquivel or myself on the code enforcement side?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I wanna state too, but when we had our workshop back in 2021, cleaning up the city was one of those things, and so hats off to you, Dylan and Fred and Tony for doing this, because it's one of the things that we identified we really wanted to work on, so it's a great step in the right direction. So thank you guys.
So, community development report, I'll go through that one real fast, and then we'll have, Ramiro do the parks, report for the month. For August 2024, we do have, residential project. Again, we're still, looking at the RFP that was sent out for the housing workforce. Mr. Reyes is continuing to work on that. We do have a housing developer that is exploring a mobile home park. And then we have the 5-acre tract housing development that is pending the preliminary and final plat on that as well. And, there are some variances that are being requested for that plat. Those will be presented in October to P&Z and then will be brought to, council. The reason we're waiting on this is because we wanted to see a more detailed, preliminary plat before I bring those variances to P&Z and council, so that you can get an idea of what those, requests are in, relation to the actual plat itself. So we wanted to bring that to you all. Commercial development projects, we are online with Pizza Hut. They're looking at doing what we call a soft opening, for September 17th, next week. And that's going to be an invite for city council and some members of the community, just so they can try out their kitchen, their waiting period, and so it's what they call a soft opening. And then they are on target. Crystal and Miss Bianca, our public information officer, and our city clerk, Miss Crystal Garcia, are working and coordinating a grand opening. And I believe it's not set yet, but they're looking at September 27th for that, and it's a Saturday afternoon.
That's now Friday.
Friday, I'm sorry, Friday afternoon. It's gonna involve, bounce houses and, you know, pizzas and all kinds of things out there. The chamber, we're coordinating with the chamber as well. And so we'll, Bianca and Ms. Crystal will bring more information to you all, or send out information on that. Lindsay Lane, near the HEB, you guys can see movement out there. They're already started their site clearance and moving along on that. Refuel Market, they have closed on the property. I filed their final plat with the county clerk's office, and I believe they've informed Mr. Reyes that they are narrowed it down to 2 contractors, Mr. Reyes, to award the contract. And as soon as that contract's awarded, they want to do some site clearance first before they do the shovel-ready opening. And we will notify the mayor and council as well on that. Dr. Garza's clinic, we are getting ready to issue what we call a temporary certificate of occupancy. There is, and the reason for that is they're ready to move into one portion of the building. The majority of the building is done. There is one wing or area that they have not quite finished because that's going to be an MRI area. And they're waiting for the equipment to come in and they need to test the equipment